And so I want to mention from my perspective as an elder that supports the work at our congregation, as a sister ministry with World Bible School and how we interact with our various sister ministries and sister colleges, and as a missionary who understands the darkness we're fighting on the ground. I wanted to just go through several of the strengths of Southern Africa Bible College that I think are not only vastly important, but need to be remembered and need to be preserved. All Christian education has a huge temptation to mission drift. Every ministry, every sister ministry has a huge temptation to see mission drift. And a lot of times it's because as we develop schools and as we develop ministries, the funding mechanisms, money, becomes so crucial that it can often have the leverage to actually undermine or change the mission of an institution. But one of the huge strengths as a missionary, as an elder, as a sister ministry that I see about Southern Africa Bible College is the fact that it has had an absolute laser mission focus. And that laser mission focus God has been using powerfully over the last decade or two, as many would see the mission change. But through leadership like Al Horn, Jerry Hogg, Fred Berg, Theo, who we saw last night, several of the other teachers that are there on site, that focus and that mission commitment has been firm in Southern Africa Bible College. South Africa has a love for America. They have a fascination for America. I guess one comparable thing of it would be our American infatuation with the royal family of Great Britain. Even though the Revolutionary War rejected them, still enamored by the royal family quite often. South Africa has a real interest in America. And because of that, as mission work has been conducted, anything happening in America is given great scrutiny within the Churches of Christ in South Africa. And so if our brotherhood is going through a time of struggle, if our brotherhood is going through a time of division or polarization, then quite often that can directly and almost immediately start impacting South Africa. And that's one of the great dangers of mission work. That's one of the training principles that people like Otis Gatewood asked to be taught to missionary students. We have to study the Word to where we can discern what is our cultural difference and what is a doctrinal imperative of Scripture. And that's not often very easily done. Well, a culture that is enamored with another culture and likes to borrow from another culture, that's a huge challenge. But that's where leadership development and leadership mission focus makes all the difference. And thank God that Eldred Eccles and several in his circle saw the need to develop leadership training at Southern Africa Bible College. Because in my opinion as a missionary, a lot of the polarization in America has been being expressed in Southern Africa and very easily could have polarized and divided the church in South Africa. Very easily it could have done that. It has not. Now, it's affected some, certainly, but it has not created widespread division in South Africa. The only difference that I can discern is the leadership coming out of Southern Africa Bible College, and the fact that such a large number of church leaders have been trained in Bible discernment, in an ability to study the Bible for themselves, develop as indigenous leadership within the Zulu churches, within the Xhosa churches, within the Afrikaner churches, within the English churches. within the Venda churches. You have strong, educated, and courageous leaders that are staying on mission focus. And I think Southern Africa Bible College should be greatly commended for that and encouraged in that, because that should never be taken for granted. Should never be taken for granted. You take your eye off that ball for just a second, and other concerns like money and popularity and go along to get along, and can't we all just, becomes the dominant force. One of our huge influences, I was just speaking at Freed Hardeman Lectureship, and before that at the Sunset Lectureship, and I was asked to speak on this topic of how we engage post-Christian America. There was a Gallup poll taken in 2019 that indicated we've crossed the Rubicon in America from a Christian nation in its widest sense to the majority of our culture no longer attends church, no longer attends any house of worship, whether it be Muslim or Buddhist or Christian. The majority of our culture is unchurched. And so the Freed Hardeman topic was, how do we engage post-Christian America? Well, one of the facets of has been the export in the early 1900s of relativism into our culture. It was a French philosophical proposition that gained a lot of traction within academic circles. And academia has a great temptation for seeking out new ideas. Nobody likes to publish an old idea. Everybody likes the new, shiny thing. But in New Testament Christianity, we're called to be faithful to a 2,000-year-old idea. And that's where mission drift can really undermine the biblical underpinnings of a work if you take your eye off that goal. Relativism has impacted our culture to where most of our generation does not believe there is a divine, concrete, objective truth, and that concept is not even real. You have your personal truth, I have my personal truth, and they're both true at the same time. Now, the people who teach that in Zambia, where I was a missionary, are the witch doctors. That's the exact same philosophy that they hold. Isn't it interesting how full circle comes about in academia looking for a new idea? Probably one of the oldest ideas that Satan has developed on earth. But Southern Africa Bible College has been true to their mission, and they've been laser sharp in not drifting. And so let me commend the work for that. That is a huge strength. It is a strength that within our setting in America, we could forget to focus on and to support. Because in an America where relativism has been being taught in academia for several decades now, what value system has emerged as one of our primary values? We often refer to it as tolerance, embracing equal. Our culture values that, and so we are taught as a culture walk very quietly, step very carefully, be politically correct, don't draw any lines, embrace everything as equally valued. If that is what we export into Southern Africa Bible College, it could quickly lose its mission from another academic setting. I think you should be encouraged to focus on that strength and affirm that strength. Quite frankly, in America, we need that strength back. To take hope and faith in the fact that Jesus established His church, and He is truth, concrete, divinely revealed. We can stand on that. Our next generation is begging for a rock to stand on. Relativism is intellectual quicksand. As a missionary, I take quicksand pleasant. If you grow up in intellectual quicksand, you start longing for a rock to stand on. Well, that is the restoration plea. Let's go stand on the rock of Jesus Christ. Let's be what Jesus asked us. Let's be His church. Let's let Him be the head of His church. And that call is clarion clear at Southern Africa Bible College. And so I think that's a tremendous strength of the school.